Now starting, all attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the BC Ideas Exchange Economic Development webinar series. My name is Jessica Ritchie, and I'm with the Regional Programs and Engagement Branch, which is part of the Ministry of Jobs, Economic Development, and Competitiveness. And I'll be providing the technical support for today's webinar, as well as moderating the Q&A at the end of the session. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I am in Victoria on the unceded Coast Salish territory of the Lekwungen people, known today as the Esquimalt and Songhees First Nation. Today, we have the privilege of being joined by a number of speakers to discuss the Support Local BC campaign, a COVID-19 economic development initiative that found great success through collaboration with economic development organizations, communities, and businesses around the province. But before I do our introductions to today's speakers, I'm going to go over a couple of quick housekeeping things, and then we'll get into it. If this is your first time on GoToWebinar, we are getting more and more used to doing things online, but there are a couple things that you may not have experienced before. On your control panel, you'll see a question pane. We would encourage you to ask questions as they come up throughout the presentation. We'll hold those until the end of the session, but we don't want anyone to forget, so pop them in as you have them, and we'll be asking today's presenters. You're able to see today's presentation slides in the handout section at the bottom of the control panel, so you can download those at any time, and we'll also be posting them next week. And the other thing, if you are having any challenges with your audio, I'd recommend that you try connecting via your phone. If you're not having any luck with that, just click the phone call option, a phone number will pop up with a PIN, and you can enter like that. And then rest assured, everyone in the audience right now is muted, so you don't have to be too concerned about that. We may have an opportunity for a discussion at the end where you may need to use the mute and unmute button, and you can also use the raise hand button if you'd like to speak. I'd like to remind everyone that today's session is being recorded. It will be available online next week if you'd like to share the information with anyone that wasn't able to attend today. So you can find the recording by visiting gov.bc.ca/economic development, and you can look under the BC Ideas Exchange, and that has our whole host of past webinars, including today's, as well as the success stories that are a part of the BC Ideas Exchange platform. There's also a Support Local BC success story that you'll be able to read about. So the last you'll hear from me for a while is I'd like to introduce today's speakers. You're going to first be hearing from Michèle Hamilton. She's the Managing Director of Support Local BC and Think Local First. And she's going to be sharing about the story of how this initiative got started, how she was able to collaborate with organizations around BC to make this a provincial resource. Then you're going to be hearing the community side. Veronica Stewart, the communications manager from the city of Prince Rupert, is going to be sharing how they got involved with Support Local BC and how they made it successful in their community. And then we'll be turning it over to Christy and John Farrell. They are owners of Opus Sushi, and they're going to share their perspective as a business that participated in the program and what their experience was like. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Michèle.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much, Jessica, for putting this together for us. As Jessica mentioned, I'm the Managing Director of Think Local First. We're a nonprofit organization in Victoria that supports local independent businesses in Greater Victoria. We are membership driven. We host learning events, mixers. We also communicate with our consumers to let them know that when they spend their money with businesses. Some of our businesses were closing. Some of them had revamped their level of pickup as opposed to dine in. They had also pivoted their business models. Some restaurants went from serving food to actually putting grocery boxes together. So in the beginning, I shared those changes and let our community know what was happening with our businesses as I found out the information. And that was mostly done through emails and social media. The other piece that came about was what can we do moving forward, as opposed to just sharing. Is there something proactive that we can do for businesses at this time? Next slide, please. And maybe the next one too. So I actually came across an initiative started in Cornwall, Ontario. It was a Shopify website set up to sell gift certificates for businesses in their community. And I thought, wow, that's something that we can do in Victoria. So I reached out to Van City, who has been a huge supporter of Think Local First in so many ways. And I put a proposal together and said, you know, how would this work? Is there some way that we can work on this together? And they offered to provide funding for it, because what I wanted to do was sell the gift certificates, but absorb the processing costs. So the 2.9% and 30 cents per transaction would be absorbed by Support Local YYJ. And the businesses, if somebody bought a $50 gift certificate, the business would get $50. So I was so happy to have Van City come on board with that. Built the Shopify website with the help of Shopify, because their gift card products were not available to everyone, but just like every other organization, they were also shifting as a result of COVID and did make those gift cards available to us. Next slide. So this is just a screenshot of what Support Local YYJ looked like. So we opened it up to all Think Local First members, so our 200 plus businesses in Think Local First could participate free of charge. But then what we also decided was there are so many local independent businesses that aren't part of our organization, but are also feeling the effects of this pandemic. So let's open it up to everyone. So businesses had to meet our criteria for membership. They didn't need to become a member, but they could participate and support local YYJ. And for some businesses, it doesn't make sense to sell gift certificates, construction companies, you know, that kind of thing. A $100 gift certificate isn't going to go too far. But for those businesses that it made sense, we added them to the website. So in the end, if you could just go to the next slide, please, Jessica. So this just showed you kind of what the website, the original Support Local YYJ looked like. In the end, we had 174 businesses. The next slide might tell us the answer to that. 174 businesses, and in Greater Victoria, we sold $23,000 worth of gift certificates before Support Local YYJ got rolled into Support Local BC. So I'll just explain to you the Support Local YYJ piece of it first, because that's where everything started. So as I said, we wanted to absorb the payment processing costs. The aim was to get cash flow into the businesses while they were closed, and that people would then use these gift certificates once the pandemic had passed enough that their businesses could reopen. And that worked really well. There were a few things that we did once the website was live to get the message out. Next slide, please. So I sent an email, obviously, to all our Think Local First member businesses, told them about this initiative, offered them to fill in a form to participate. I reached out to our other community partners, the Chambers of Commerce, BIAs, anyone else who had connection with businesses in our communities, and let them know that we were running this program, and sent them the link to the Google form that businesses could complete to participate. Also created social media graphics, so sharing the initiative, but also creating social media graphics for the businesses who are participating, so they could easily share that they were part of this initiative as well. I mean, as you can imagine, and as you know, or as a business owner or in the economic development realm, businesses were shocked. There was so much going on, but I didn't want them to miss out on really engaging their customers in the program. So that's why I created those graphics, scripts for them, just sent everything to them and said, here, use this on your social media channels. We also did media releases. We had interviews with our local television station. I did a few radio interviews as well. We did have some public service announcements with one of our radio station media partners. They just put it out there for us. And then we did a paid promotion with a local company that has a lot of followers on Facebook, a lot of engaged followers. And that was really well received too. We did also have customers of local businesses recommending that their favorite businesses join the platform. So they would message me and I would in turn message the business and say, hey, you know, here's a platform that you might find some value in while COVID-19 is happening. Further to this, actually one of our local newspapers, the Times Colonist, ran a contest which was in print and online, and that also got a lot of great reception for us too. So next slide, please. So how did Support Local YYJ turn into Support Local BC? So as soon as I presented the idea to Van City and got the Support Local YYJ website up and running so people could actually see what it was like, we had conversations about, could we kind of supply this in a box to other communities that wanted to have gift certificates, selling gift certificates for their businesses. So that was one thought we had. And then we thought, well, perhaps we could actually create one platform that would service all communities in British Columbia, so that if you were traveling within the province, you could buy gift certificates before you went on vacation, or you could buy them for someone, a friend or family member who lives in a different community. Next slide, please. So on that note, I connected with economic development organizations that I already had relationships with, the BC Economic Development Association, Love Northern BC and Northern Development Initiative Trust, Loco BC, and we talked about how this could work, like what would make sense. Because as you can imagine, there are a lot of facets that are happening in the back end of this program, the management of it, all the moving parts as far as logistics on the back end go. So again, you know, how would it be structured? And what we thought we would do is, as I said, you know, it came down to just creating one platform that all businesses in British Columbia could be part of. And so the way we did that was we created a cost recovery funding model where communities would pay a fee to have so many of their businesses join. And if you've been to our website, you'll see this, but I'll explain to you how it works. So the cost for a community to have 100 businesses on Support Local BC and to have $25,000 worth of gift certificate sales is $1,275, and that's a one-time fee. And it breaks down like this. $250 of that is to create a community page on Support Local BC's website, and then to add those 100 businesses. If you've been on the website, you'll see we add a little hexagon around the logos just to keep everything a little bit cleaner looking. We do collect all the information from businesses in a Google Sheet, and then that gets added to their profile on the website. So that's a $250 hard cost to have that happen. And then the payment processing fees for $25,000 worth of gift certificates based on $25 gift certificates being sold, those seem to be the most popular denomination, is $1,025. So that's it right there, $1,275. So between BCEDA, Think Local First, and Love Northern BC and Local BC, we kind of divided up the tasks. Who would be good at which things? We needed to have community outreach, obviously. So Amy Robinson, the executive director of Local BC, had a lot of those connections for the Lower Mainland. So she reached out to communities there. You know, we created a document that we could share with communities to let them know what the program was about, what it would cost, what their responsibility was, the criteria for businesses. So, you know, does it make sense for their business to be part of this program? Love Northern BC represented 32 communities in Northern British Columbia, so they reached out to all of their communities and in fact sponsored all of those communities as well. And BCDA has been helping us in the Okanagan region. We're still working on adding communities there as well as in the Kootenays, and this week we'll be adding the Lower Sunshine Coast communities as well. So even though we're 3 months into Support Local BC, we still are adding communities because there is value to the program. In the back end, we set up the whole structure. The Shopify site on this magnitude was a bit too much for me to handle, not being a Shopify expert. So I did reach out to a Shopify website builder here in Victoria, and he helped us put things together. You know, just how would the whole reporting piece work? Originally, we were sending Excel spreadsheets to businesses with a list of the gift certificate numbers purchased, the person's name, and the amount of the gift certificate. And then I was doing e-transfers, which worked fine. It worked fine when it was Support Local YYJ and all the businesses were closed and nobody was using those gift certificates right away. But as we moved through time and businesses started to open, we needed to have that reporting a little bit quicker, and I'll talk about that in a few slides. The other piece is that we hired a summer student, and she has been indispensable. She looks after our social media. She adds all the communities and businesses to the website, and anything else I can have her do. It has been great having her as well. Next slide, please. So this is what the website looks like now, the home page on it. And you'll see there's a business portal login. That's something new that we added in the last 7 to 9 weeks. Next slide, please. And the next one, thank you. So as the province opened up, how do we keep this platform meaningful for communities, for businesses, and for consumers? So as I said, you know, I was sending Excel spreadsheets to businesses, but that didn't make sense when people wanted to buy the gift certificate and were able to spend it basically right away because businesses were open in some capacity. So we added a business portal called Duoplane. Essentially, it's a fulfillment system, and it's connected to our Shopify store. It has an account for each business and basically allows them to see their orders in real time. So they can manage them in there as well. We use the shipped feature as when the gift card is redeemed. They can also write in there if a gift card is partially redeemed. So that piece was very well received, but of course it's a little bit complicated to do that. So we did create a very comprehensive business resources page that has video tutorials, an infographic, as well as text step-by-step instructions for that. And I need to do a shout out right here to the team at Van City, because not only did they supply funding with their partnership, they have actually also provided amazing manpower resources to help with things like integrating Duoplane. I look after the management of Support Local BC, so emails come to me. I look after managing the whole piece of the platform, but I would not have been able to do all this without the help of those staff members at Van City who have been helping me on this project. The next piece was connecting a payment service that would allow us to pay the businesses on a weekly basis. Originally it started with monthly, and then it went to every 2 weeks. And then it just seemed reasonable to try and get the money into the businesses' hands before they actually had to honor the gift certificates. That was always the intent, was that the money would be up front and then the gift certificates would be sold. So I think, I don't know, COVID time warp, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, we connected a payment service called WayPay that allows us to do direct deposit. So it connects with QuickBooks Online, which is what we use to see what we owe businesses. So Shopify connects to Duoplane, Duoplane connects to QuickBooks, and QuickBooks connects to WayPay. The other piece, we also hired a bookkeeper to do that back end piece. As you can imagine, well, at the end of, once we have the Sunshine Coast on, it'll be 1,284 businesses on Support Local BC. That's a little bit too much to manage. The other piece we did was we added a map to the homepage so that residents and visitors in communities can find their favorite businesses or discover new ones as well, especially when we think about traveling within our province, as you know, where we'll be spending our summer holidays closer to home. And the other piece that I mentioned already was our training resources. So we did put together the back end information for businesses, but just like I did on Support Local YYJ, our team created social media graphics, scripts that businesses could use. We are in communication with businesses via email to let them know when things get updated or when things are going to be updated and we're adding new features, and just explaining to them what their role is in that part. I also do send emails to our community sponsor organizations to let them know what's happening on the Support Local BC platform and what their businesses will be able to use as far as these advancements go. Next slide. So what kind of success are we having? So as I mentioned, we have 1,284 businesses in over 66 communities in British Columbia. When I put this slide together last night, we were at $99,345 in gift certificates sold on behalf of those businesses. As of about an hour and a half ago, we were at $99,695, which is very exciting. We will be running a contest, likely starting this weekend once we hit our $100,000 mark. The other piece is, as far as success goes, is the connection with the community partners across the province. I know from working with Think Local First for 8 years how invested I feel with the local businesses in Greater Victoria, because I'm trying to help their success. And having everyone connected through this platform around the province for me has been really amazing. Collaboration, connection. You know, apart from the partners that I showed you, we work with community futures, chambers, BIAs all over the province. So having those relationships and understanding what those communities are looking for as well also helps us to gear how do we keep Support Local BC meaningful. And I think the other piece is that making sure businesses know that they are supported. And that is part of our social media plan. We focus once a week on a community within BC that has businesses represented on Support Local BC and give them a shout out as well. Next slide, please. So what's next for Support Local BC? Next. We are looking at connecting an app that can be used as a wayfinding tool. So when people travel through different communities in the province, they can see all the local businesses in the community they're in. So essentially it would be one app that's like a Google Maps for local businesses within our province. As I said, we are continuing to listen to businesses and to customers about how to make this program more efficient, easier to use. You know, it certainly isn't without its fumbles, that's for sure. But I think working with such a great group of organizations who have so much experience in this area as well has made that, you know, has made it as successful as it is now. We are continuing to leverage the platform on social media and raising awareness of all these amazing local businesses within our communities. Right from the start, Northern Development Initiative Trust offered a $25 bonus gift card store credit to people who purchased a $25 gift card from a Love Northern BC or Northern BC business. So that has gone gangbusters. Lots of uptake on that one too. And Van City will be promoting the week of the 5th to the 12th of August with the Van City Loves Local Week as well. And as I said, you know, I'm super happy to hear ideas from anyone about what we can add to the platform. You know, the idea of a digital gift card for Support Local BC came out of one of those conversations. So there is a gift card on our website that can only be used on the website to purchase a gift certificate from a business, but you can send it to someone else and allow them to choose the gift certificate that they would like to choose. And that is the biggest seller on our website right now. So, next slide, please. That's it for me. So please reach out, either Michelle at thinklocalvictoria.com or hello@supportlocalbc.com. If you have any feedback on the Support Local BC program, if you have any ideas that you'd like to share, any initiatives that you've taken in your community, if you're part of the program that have helped to engage businesses and consumers, I'd love to be able to share those with our other communities that are participating. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Michelle. So from here, we're going to hand it over to one of the communities that has been participating in the program. So I'd like to introduce you to Veronica Stewart from the city of Prince Rupert.
Hi there. Thank you for the introduction. I'm speaking from the territory of the Coast Tsimshian in Prince Rupert, in the middle of the Great Bear Rainforest, and we are living up to our name today because it is raining, but that's okay. It makes everything very lush here, so that's quite nice. So our participation in the Support Local BC campaign was through our Economic Development Office and specifically through our Love Prince Rupert program. So Love Prince Rupert is basically a subsidiary of Love Northern BC, which is one of the programs that was invited to participate with Support Local BC. So that was kind of our local connection to the program, and it's been really great. Next slide, please. Just for a bit of context for Prince Rupert. So Prince Rupert has gone through quite a number of boom and bust cycles, and we were kind of just on the way out, climbing our way out of a recent bust cycle when our pulp mill closed in around like the early 2000s, which seems like a long time ago, but it has taken us a while. But we do have one of the fastest growing ports in North America now, and we are seeing some economic upswing, which is great. Many of the people in Prince Rupert are still able to work because the port is still operating, so that's been good for the economy here and for people to be able to still have some disposable income to buy from local stores. Also, I think in Prince Rupert, people recognize that local stores have really been a backbone of our community. In difficult economic times, they were, the people sponsoring the local sports teams and really kind of keeping the community alive and yeah, basically keeping the local economy running. So people in Prince Rupert are just generally very supportive of local business, and I'm sure that's true of many small communities, but I definitely see that it's something that we have here, that we all kind of band together because we've, been through some times of trouble before, and we know that we can help see each other through in this time and in any other future challenges that we have. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, Love Prince Rupert was the kind of conduit locally for this Support Local program to come to Prince Rupert. The program overall is sponsored by Northern Development Initiative Trust. And so they've got their Love Northern BC platform that they operate in many communities, from Haida Gwaii to Smithers, I think the Hazeltons as well, Prince George. So many of us have this similar program. It essentially gives our local economic development office a professional and ready-made platform that supports local businesses. So similar to what Support Local BC does, they offer pre-made social media graphics for us to use. In our community, we have a newsletter that we have our local member businesses signed up The program essentially charges a nominal fee of $100, and each member business gets like a photo shoot. They have a listing on the website, and they get participation in any kind of events that we have in the community. So things that we've done before are, you know, different sweepstakes campaigns and shop local campaigns. They have something called Plaid Friday that you do on Black Friday as a shopping local alternative. And also we've done, I think, a trade fair as well. So these are the kinds of things that they have access to through the program. We have about 90 member businesses in our Love Prince Rupert program. We find there's a generally like a decent uptick from our local member businesses, and they are overall happy with the results. Even just having a photo shoot alone is definitely worth that $100, because then you can repurpose the photos for your website and things like that. And it also gives a little bit of social media connection too for those businesses that are less social media savvy. In small towns, I think sometimes that's a bit of a struggle, is managing an online presence. And so Love Prince Rupert has our own social media page, and so we can kind of help businesses and support them by sharing their posts or developing posts for them sometimes. And so that can be definitely a little boost for those kind of non-social media savvy businesses. So that's a bit of an overview of Love Prince Rupert. If you can go to the next slide. So how did we spread the word on Support Local BC? So Support Local BC reached out to us again through Love Northern BC. In Prince Rupert, I think probably I'd like to give credit to NDIT and Love Northern BC, because they did a sponsored post on social media that was kind of for the northern region, and I definitely saw it a lot, and I think that was one of the things that really helped build traction for the program. And the other thing is that was mentioned by Michelle is the $25 promotion. So if you spent over $25 in gift certificates, you were given a free $25 gift card to one of the member businesses. So that really, I think, helped people to be incentivized to purchase a gift card, and that was really great. We have approximately 80 member businesses on our newsletter, our email newsletter. So we reached out to them several times to encourage participation in advance of when the program actually went live, and we continue to do that through the newsletters that we send maybe once every 2 weeks. We also made multiple Facebook posts to our page, and we've got about 1,100 followers. Our community is about 12,000 people, so it's a decent following. We also share the Support Local BC information to pages like our What's Up Prince Rupert. I think that there's probably something similar in every kind of small community. Is there's like an events page or space where people like to share what's going on in the community. It's essentially the modern version of a bulletin board. So that's something that we definitely use quite frequently, just to make sure that it's not just sitting on a static page somewhere. So we did reach quite a number of users through social media engagement. We also had the program coinciding with some of the other economic development initiatives that are happening in town. So one of those is we have a small business task force in the community. So that's a partnership between the Prince Rupert Economic Development Office and Love Prince Rupert, the Tourism Prince Rupert organization, and our local Chamber of Commerce. And so one of the programs that we had going on kind of at the same time was a Support Local PR was the hashtag that we used, and we had a small business sweepstakes. So every week we would draw for a $150 gift card, and you were entered into the draw if you had tagged yourself purchasing from a local business. So I think that was also, you know, something that was promoted around the same time. It was along the same vein of that Support Local initiative, and I think that also helped drum up a little bit of interest from people. We also have, right now there's a tourism campaign going on called See for Yourself that the tourism board has offered, and they're kind of promoting different business offerings. Basically, if the business is offering 20% off of meals this week and things like that. So there's different promotions that are happening in town as well. And there's also on our local flights coming into town, we're doing draws for $25 gift certificates every day throughout July, or every flight throughout July. So when the pandemic started, our airport had to shut down. So we already see a little bit of flight loss to Terrace. So we were really trying to kind of get back people from Prince Rupert to fly locally again. So that was one of the ways that we're trying to promote that. So those are some of the just general initiatives for support local in Prince Rupert that we're doing alongside this specific initiative that I thought people might be interested in, just to see what other communities are doing. We also did a survey through our online engagement platform that kind of tried to gauge the comfort level of people in Prince Rupert for receiving tourists and things like that, and ways that we could mitigate any concerns that they had. So that was something that Tourism Prince Rupert took into account when they were developing their campaigns. And I think that that's been useful for people in the community to see what the comfort level of their neighbors are and things like that. So one of the other things that really helped us is we had a number of people sharing and letting each other know about the program. So word of mouth is big in Prince Rupert. Everybody likes to call Prince Rupert Prince Rumors. And there are people in the community who call themselves Rupert Boosters. So I feel like those people were also, deserve a little bit of credit for helping to spread the good word about the Support Local BC campaign. We all are generally well connected and talk to each other about these kinds of things. And especially if there's, you can get $25 for free if you spend $25. I think that was a good way of helping to get people to share that information. Next slide, please. All right, so I think that was really all. Oh, actually, I did want to share a little bit about what the actual statistics in Prince Rupert were. So I didn't include that in my slide, but I do have the information here. So overall, we had 24 of our local businesses sign up to participate in the Support Local campaign. Overall, the last statistic that I have anyways, that we got sent from the folks at NDIT was $8,045 in sales, and that's 289 gift certificates that were sold as of July 15th. Among the top grossing businesses was Opa Sushi, which is the other presenters that we have on the panel today, which is great to see some local presentation. Good Times Games was another one. That's one of our local game stores, and also Fukusaku. So people really like sushi in this community because that was another top seller. Yeah, so we were really pleased with the result that we got from this program. I do really think that it helped that we had that incentive provided by NDIT. They had sponsored that. And I think that, yeah, overall, Prince Rupert is very happy to have participated in this program. We're very grateful for being allowed to participate, and we're happy with the overall outcome, and we hope that the local businesses are too. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Veronica. And like she just introduced, we're gonna hand it over to Christy and John Farrell from Opa Sushi. They're a business that has been participating in the program, and they're gonna share kind of their experience.
Good morning. There we are.
Good morning. It doesn't look like your guys' video is on quite yet. Do you want to try just popping it on one more time?
Yep.
There we go.
There we go. Good
Nice.
morning. Let's just try it a little bit.
There we go.
There we are. We good to go? You can hear us? We're unmuted. Okay, good morning. So I'm Christy, and this is my husband, John Farrell. Yeah, we're in rainy Rupert this morning, and we just want to tell you a little bit about our sushi restaurant. So we've established it back in 1998, so it's been around for quite a while. Back when sushi was a little bit of an odd duck in the field of cuisine. It was started by my brother-in-law. He's a Japanese chef. And before internet, he just looked on a map and heard about this little location called Prince Rupert on the northwest coast, and heard that there was fresh fish. So he decided to just hop a ferry and come on up and start a sushi restaurant. In the beginning, he had, I believe it was 2 tables and 6 seats in total, and 10 items on the sushi menu. Back in 2001, John and I decided it would be a really interesting foray into cuisine. We'd come from Haida Gwaii and wanted to get involved in our own business. So we took it over from him, and we've had it ever since. And we've now grown it into approximately a 40-seat restaurant. And we do dine in, when we are COVID friendly with our regulations, and then we do takeout as well. So we just wanted to show you as we speak a little bit of, you know, the visual about what our food looks like, what our location is like, just to give you a sense of the Northwest Coast culture. So you see, I usually tend to take pictures on our back deck. It's nestled in an old growth forest right off the side of our restaurant. So any day you can go back there and look at the eagles nesting or seeing the deer walk by. And it's just a lovely little location, a little oasis in the heart of Rupert. And then we do have like a Northwest Japanese fusion cuisine style. So that's a little bit of the ethic of what our restaurant looks like. And so maybe next slide, please. Oh, okay, that's all of our slides. All right. Okay, so COVID, when COVID hit, it was, we call it now a game changer because we're a little bit settled in it. It was a time of panic, confusion, and just a real sense of not knowing what day by day what we were going to be faced with. And so the reason why this program specifically was so great for us is we really didn't have to do much to get it set up. Pretty much we just had to agree to it and send a logo, and everything else was platformed, advertised for us. It was easy to just link a couple of pictures on our Facebook site, and away we went. And that's probably one of the most important things that I would say about the program is how seamless and easy it was. We didn't have the wherewithal at any point to really think about how to manage some of these programs. If you can imagine, we were dealing with staffing issues, layoffs, payroll. How do we pay our staff? Do we keep them on every day? Who's going to be sick? If they're sick, what's their strategy? What's the COVID plan? All the regulations in place. And it was something that was really needed. And I was thinking about one of the key words in relationship to this program and how it was beneficial to us. And all I can keep coming back to is heartwarming. So it was a real direct way to see how much our community cared about us in these really uncertain times. Part of the community was undergoing their own transition and layoffs and uncertainty. Part of the community was still working, and everybody really banded together to support us. And we noticed that all the businesses, whatever they could do to either donate food to food kitchens, do delivery, hire somebody who was out of work. For us, we looked at, okay, maybe in some instances it was better to lay off and to make sure that people were covered financially. So it was just a way to see that people were also giving back to us, because as small business, over the years, you do put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into not only your own business, but to making sure that your customers are happy and secure and safe. And it just really felt like such a beautiful payback for that dedication. And to find out that we were doing so well with the sales was also pretty exciting, and I don't think it was a little bit unexpected, to be honest. We're quite pleased and honored to be featured. I would say, like what Veronica had mentioned, is that this community is incredible in terms of local support. So while we were feeling honored and heartwarmed, we were also like, yeah, that's our Rupert. That makes sense, because that's what we do here. And so we had already had an established gift certificate program in place. We do quite well with that. Most of the time, for many businesses, the gift certificate component of your business is important because it's a way of injecting the cash flow for sure. But often people don't redeem their gift certificates. Not so with OPA. We almost have 100%, what would we call retrieval rate, that if people buy a gift certificate, darn well they're coming in and they're going to use it. We still get gift certificates 6, 7, 8 years from now. And if people move on, they have to gift it to friends. They don't just leave it in a drawer. They find that gift certificate and they pass it on. So we know that that was a really important program for us to begin with, but this just sort of cemented it along the way. So I thought maybe I'll just have John add to that and maybe talk about the community piece a bit too.
Well, I think, I don't know how much time I have, Jessica, but, you know, I think COVID forced those of us in the food and beverage sector to really be activist, quite activist. And I think there's three elements to that. And one was just to make sure our patrons were safe. And so we're all trying to figure out the best ways to do that. We actually chose to renovate our restaurant to make sure that our patrons were shielded and to redo the back end so our chefs could actually work without contact. So we did a lot of HVAC, and we did a lot of that kind of work around safe. The second priority, and these are in priorities, second priority was just to educate, you know, our patrons on how it all worked, like how they would come in, whether it's takeout, delivery. Other restaurants were doing that, and communicating with each other again on the best ways to do that, and really just making sure that the patrons knew what we were offering, how they can pay, and so that it wasn't a surprise to them when they got to the restaurant. And a third, and this is the biggest piece, so I think Christy touched on that, we're all busy with this kind of stuff, and so how we work together as a community in amongst restaurants to actually get people to understand when we're open and what we're offering. And that was a lot of work that was done through a bunch of the services that Veronica talked about, service providers, where, you know, the chamber would post who was open and what they were offering, and then the Love Prince Rupert to generating that support. We at OPA, we also feature takeout Tuesdays and Sundays, and others started following the same thing. And then where you get the Support Local BC platform is really something that none of us could do, as Christy mentioned, by ourselves, but it started taking shape and allowing people to, that were sitting on the fence on whether they should even go out to eat, or whether they should do takeout, whether they should do delivery. So it helped people make that adjustment and say, okay, maybe it's time for me to go out and get a little bit of my life back. And that was promoted through various agencies. One that was also unmentioned but should be was Community Futures, and our local EDO put together a business recovery helpline, which the city was involved in, and these kind of promotions again went out, and businesses were told about how they can support other businesses. So I think it's just forced us to be more activist and to really kind of create a bond amongst the service providers and in business development, amongst the other restaurants, and create and embrace a relationship with our customers like we've never had before.
I just wanted to add one thing as well. From the business end, what was really important is that, like, at first there was confusion with the gift certificates coming in, and how do we track it, and how do we honor these things, and how do we integrate this into our payment program. While there was a blip with that, I think, I can't remember who I was speaking with, but I called Friday about 4:58, and somebody answered the phone, and I was shocked that anybody was around Friday 4:58. But the concern I had just about the tracking was dealt with immediately. And then within the next business day, I saw a complete list of all the items, so I could actually check it against my payment plan. With COVID, I think we all learned what worked and what didn't work with online platforms. And this one was relatively seamless. And kudos to whoever set that up and worked with the businesses to do that. Because, again, there isn't a lot of time just to add on an additional task. During the time was a bit confusing, but it went, the benefits we received were just phenomenal. So thank you to everybody involved with that.
Great, thank you so much to Christy and John for sharing their experience with OPA Sushi. We are going to open it up now to questions for any of our panelists. We just do have a few minutes, and if we don't answer your question today, I would encourage you to reach out directly to any of the speakers today if you have specific questions. The first question that came in was for Veronica. So someone was just curious, how are costs covered for the $150 sweepstake prizes and gift cards on the local flights?
So those were covered For the local flights, we had a local industry partner sponsor them. So we have a small scale propane facility being installed in Prince Rupert right now by Pembina, and they sponsored it. So they were looking for an opportunity to give basically COVID-19 supporting funding to the community. And so that was where they directed their funding. For the $125 gift certificates, it was in partnership between this small business task force. So I believe it was funded through tourism, Prince Rupert dollars, economic development, and the chamber is my understanding. Unfortunately, Paul Ventitelli is our economic development officer, and he's more in the weeds with exactly how those programs are administered. So he would have been better to answer this question, but he's away today.
And Christy and John, a question for the two of you. So did you specifically advertise the Support Local BC campaign, or were you just relying on the business being posted there and then the great work that the city did to promote the platform?
I did post on Facebook the links right at the very beginning, but I didn't keep reposting. So the customers, I mean, and we did a post encouraging it to go there. My hunch is most of the sales did not come direct through our Facebook. It probably would have been Love Northern BC being directed. That's my guess. I don't know how to track that or from when I asked customers. But again, what Veronica was mentioning, word of mouth, I think was pretty significant too. That deal was a real motivator for people.
Great. And Michelle, do you want to pop your video back on? It sounds like you have an announcement that you'd like to make just in real time. Oh, sorry, you're still muted, it looks like.
I just wanted to let everyone know, I don't know if our webinar attendees are keen on Support Local BC, but the Shopify orders have been coming in as I've been listening to Veronica and John and Christy chat, and we are now over $100,000 in gift certificate sales. So yay for BC, who, you know, all our communities love local businesses. So that's really exciting.
That's fantastic.
Great.
So we are just wrapping up now. So I just would like to thank all of you for coming on and providing your time and sharing the stories and how you've supported this, and both not only Support Local BC, but how you supported your community through other efforts in COVID-19, and how you supported your staff and patrons throughout these experiences. So if anyone else in our audience today has any other collaboration stories that they want to share, we do encourage you to reach out. We know that there's a lot of great collaboration happening across the province. After we sent out this webinar, we were contacted by the Rural Island Economic Partnership Society, because they've been doing similar work to that Michelle's been doing. And now I also saw that they're actually linked directly on the Support Local BC site. So they've started the Island Comeback, which was created specifically to support the rural island farms, business, artisans, and services that were impacted by COVID-19. So you can learn more about that endeavor specifically at islandcomeback.ca, or find out more about the Rural Island Economic Partnership Society at ruralislandspartnership.ca, because they're also doing great work to support the businesses in their area. And before you go, I just want to remind everyone that there is another webinar that is coming up next month. It's going to be focused on BC's venture capital tax program. So if you are a business that's looking into getting further looking for further funding or financing, this might be an option for you, or you can support your businesses enrolling in that program. We're going to also be sharing Cascadia's story, because they raised over $400,000 under this program, so they can share some tips and tricks for businesses that may want to learn more about the program. But that's all I have for today. If anyone has any questions, they can reach out to us directly at economicdevelopment@gov.bc.ca, or if you have any suggestions for future webinars or success stories, you can reach out that way. And the last thing I'd like to do is just thank you guys all again. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.